Welcome back, everybody, to a very exciting Last Day on Earth laboratory video. Yes, that is right. The laboratory is officially out, and I hope I'm able to use this guide to show you how to clear the first quadrant. And I'll explain what that really means in a moment. As always, if you haven't already, consider subscribing. This update is massive. I was thinking of a triple upload, but then again, I'll probably do other sectors tomorrow and as the days goes on, and in everything you need to know about video much later down the line, because that one's going to take a lot more time, and I want that to be in depth, that you could just cover to watch everything. This one is going to be more specific and focused in on a specific location, aka floor 2. So let's get into that. So when you enter here, once you enter the lobby, you're going to need to fill this bio container. This bio container requires resources to fill, that being any sort of food. A stack of carrots should do the trick just fine, but other materials, if you have them, such as flax seeds or any of that, because I'm sure a lot of us have tons and tons of flax seeds lying around our base that we can just use to fill up this meter. So that's nice. Once we enter the floor, you can see that there's sections A1 and A2, B1 and B2. Sections B1 and B2 are not yet in the game. This video, I want to focus on section A1. So once we enter that door past the sweeping guy, we see this terminal that requires us to put some sort of skill. And what this does is it's sort of like the Bunker Bravo buffs, but in the fact that it's more random. And depending on what we have here as our options, we can change kind of how the bunker operates. So some of these remove that toxic radiation, some of these reduce zombie health, some of these allow you to get sneak attack, bleeding damage, etc. I believe this is upgraded by the bio container at the center, but I'm not 100% sure. But what this really does is it makes every single time you visit the lab interesting and unique, and it kind of spices it up, even though the zombies are in the exact same positions and they're the exact same zombies in the same spots. Now, remember that this is not Bunker Bravo. It's not a speed run, so you don't need to breeze past it. If you want to start wall tricking, you can do that immediately on the side. That's okay, but I'm trying to get this done for the content, so I'm going to rush ahead with guns, as you'll see in the clip. As you make your way down the lab, you're going to encounter this giant room on the side. If you really wanted to, you can wall trick them on the side. I'm pretty lazy, so I'm just going to run past them with guns. But this is a giant room, and usually there are these spew thingies, which move in sort of like a circle shape. So if you run around them, kind of like a sprinkler almost, but avoiding the spray. If you stick to the edges, you should be able to avoid them just fine. Wait until the thing passes, and then move. Positioning is very, very important in the lab. I cannot stress that enough. Your positioning of where your character is extremely important in the lab. It will affect everything. Now, once you continue down that path, you're going to see a couple of spore spreaders. Again, these zombies aren't that difficult. They're just annoying because they've got absurd amounts of armor. M16 from Bunker Bravo usually works at mowing them down pretty well. I'm just going to run past it. You are going to want to kill them, though, because they do drop green cards, and also these chests are pretty useful to loot. They're going to give you materials which will be useful later on floor 3, but I will get into that a little bit more later on. So continue your path down here. You're going to see a couple of doors. Again, I'm going to enter every single door because it is your absolute urgency to try and get as many of those green cards as possible. It's just a little bit annoying having to deal with these big zombies because they take a ton of armor and burn through a ton of your durability. However, some of these doors will require the quote pass perk, and what this will do is essentially it's one of those skills at the beginning of the terminal which will allow you to enter later on. Now, as you can see right here, that is the end of section 1. Now, as you make your way down the hallway, you're going to notice a very specific room with a very long familiar boss. Yes, the necromancer hybrid thingy is finally in the game. So many years of waiting, it's officially in the game. Now, I suppose it is part of floor 2, so I do have to make a little bit about how to beat it. I'm going to do a very specific video on tactics and all of that, but for this video, I'm going to keep it very brief and just the gist of how to beat it. Boss has one long attack, and if you go to melee it, it has sort of a slash attack, kind of like the miner, so of course I'm going to use guns because it's the first boss. Now this boss is actually fairly difficult. Once it gets tired of using that long range attack, which it's pretty easy to dodge, although it attacks very, very fast. So it's ranged, but it goes very quick. Now, once it gets to a specific point, it'll start to shoot out spores, I guess you would call it that. These spores will insta-kill you if you end up in that red zone. So do not end up in the red zone. Once you go behind the boss, it's usually much more open. In front of the boss, there's less room, but it's still manageable. I would hold off on using the reanimators if you have them just yet, because it is super important to time that. Once the boss gets to right around 600-ish hit points, a yellow parasite will appear. It is your absolute urgency to get the boss as far away from that yellow parasite as possible. So guide it to the other side and kill that thing first. Stop shooting the boss, go to the yellow parasite and shoot that immediately. If the yellow parasite explodes with the boss in the range, which it will do, it won't trigger once you're in the range, that boss will detonate. Everywhere in the room, you are guaranteed to die. It is right there once you see the thing about to explode and you know that there is no possible way that you can kill that yellow parasite, that you use a reanimator to stay alive. If not, that's okay, but you will end up dying. There is no possible way to survive it. No corner of the room, no edge of the room. The red parasites that sometimes occasionally spawn in the boss's habitat aren't too big of a deal. They'll just explode and do a little bit of radiation damage to you. Not too big of a deal if you end up getting hit. They're not as bad. Your goal is absolutely kill that yellow parasite. Just to reiterate, you do not need to kill this boss. It's just a fun challenge that you could end up doing, but it's not 100% necessary to do to complete the floor. I think I'm going to conclude off this video here. Section A2 will definitely be my next video, and I will go a lot more into stuff about that section later on in the video. Remember that sections B1 and B2 are not yet out, but A1 and A2 are. Hope this video helped just a little bit. It's essentially like Bunker Bravo 2.0. The zombies have a lot more armor. You get some perks, which are different every single time, but you're also trying to kill the zombies and collect these cards, which will be redeemed at the lobby. I'll do a full video on the necromancer zombie thingy later on today, but I think that's going to do it for this video. Subscribe. 25K. ZD out.